My name is Valeed. I'm an FY2, which makes me a junior doctor. It means it's my second year out of medical school, and I'm due to finish my foundation training very soon. I'm graduated from the University of Manchester. Prior to that, I went to Oldham Sixth Form College. If I'm honest, I really didn't imagine myself being a doctor, at least until much later on in my life. When I was much younger, probably about 6 or 7, I wanted to be a boxer. And I quite passionately wanted to be a boxer. However, the schools I went to weren't renowned for having very good education, and probably part of me wanting to be a boxer was actually because I saw a lot of violence when I was growing up. I saw a lot of fighting and a lot of people getting hurt, and a lot of that passion in me came from wanting to defend myself and wanting to stop others from hurting me. I then proceeded to go into secondary school, which was actually incredibly rough, and it would frequently be on the news that there was some sort of event, and we would sometimes even have police vans waiting outside the school to make sure nothing happened, and occasionally there would be officers stationed along the way home because there would be a lot of fighting on the way home, and it could be quite dangerous. Subsequently, that school had failed multiple Ofsted inspections and it's now been closed down. So as you can imagine, my interest in preserving myself, or maybe my interest in boxing, was quite natural, whereas I would have never thought about doing something like medicine, especially in that sort of environment. So I naturally chose a fitness instructor course when I went to college, along with first aid, because I was always quite interested in the body and how it worked. And through a drug and alcohol service that was offered to our local secondary school to prevent people from going into drugs, I started to box. Not that I ever did drugs, but they said that it was a good alternative, it was a good way of stress relief for people that were feeling pressured, for them to be able to box, and that they had seen that it helped people stay away from sort of the bad side of life, as I'm describing. So I'd been going there for quite a number of years, and I became really good at boxing. I was even semi-sponsored, to be honest, and did really well, and I boxed for a long time, and I really wanted to go professional. And part of what drove me, or gave me so much drive, ambition, was I used to see people that were coming there for boxing therapy that were actually on drug treatment, and I used to see how they regretted a lot of their life decisions they had made, or I saw the impact that drugs had had on their actual body, or how their temperament had changed because their life circumstances were so difficult. Everybody needs a turning point, and I think that was mine. I remember one person in particular. I'm not really going to give names or anything, but he had told me how he actually, when he was younger, wanted to be a pharmacist, and I think somebody in his family had done pharmacy previously. And one of his friends had actually tempted him to do drugs with the excuse of, well, you want to work with drugs in the future anyway, and this is a type of drug that you can try. So he tried it, and he kind of explained to me how something he had done very innocently at a young age quickly spiraled out of control, and it affected his family life, it affected his relations with his siblings and his parents. He then sort of spiraled and became more addicted to stronger things, really, which then led him towards crime and violence. He was trying to rehabilitate himself by trying to box for his frustrations, and it was actually really painful sometimes to watch him box, because you could see where we were going almost for a sport, he was going to relieve anger. And that was actually really distressing to see. To see a grown man really struggling with his life, really struggling with the choices he had made, now desperately trying to get better. And he had very sincerely said to me on a couple of occasions, he said, you know, you're a bright lad. Not that I claimed to be bright, but he must have just assumed, I guess. But he used to quite frequently say to me, you seem like a bright lad, you should do something with yourself. And if you like science, if you like something, go and do it. Don't get involved in the wrong crowds. And he was from a similar area to myself, so he understood my local dynamic and what was going on in my area. I mean, it's really not a stretch to say that I grew up with people that are now in prison, so it used to hit home, and it served as quite a motivation, really. That was my turning point to say, whatever I'm going to do, I need to do it well, I need to do it big, and I need to do it properly. So I picked my subjects when I went to college, and initially, coming from that sort of area, making good money is always on a kid's mind, so I wanted to be an investment banker, so I picked economics, maths, and then I just picked biology, chemistry because I genuinely liked the body anyway. I found I'm actually rubbish at economics and not very good at maths either, so that left me with fitness instructing, first aid, chemistry and biology, which quite naturally pushed me towards the sciences. Initially I had considered dentistry, and there's nothing wrong with dentistry, but it just wasn't suited to my personality type. And so I seemed to almost fall into medicine. And ever since I've not looked back, and I couldn't really imagine doing anything else.